Hello and welcome to Zelda Speedruns. Tonight we have a link between World's Any Percent tournament race. It is round 3 and this is a match between Edeas and Eraxis, who I believe have not raced yet. And I am joined today by Purple Photon and is it Myax? Or
Miax.
Miax on commentary. So how are you doing today, gentlemen?
Okay. I'm fine, and you?
And
Yeah,
it looks
good.
like
Looking
they are
forward to
readying up.
a hopefully close race.
And it looks like they're off shortly.
It's pretty weird to see Diaz calling himself Eraxis. And it's on.
All right, they're off. Yeah, this is going to be an any percent race. In this game means beating all of the dungeons, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending on how you look at it.
It's true. More fortunately than unfortunately.
So, despite having to beat all the dungeons, there's still going to be plenty of skips, and right from the first couple minutes, already going to be some sequence breaks. Normally, you start off this game by going to the sanctuary because the captain leaves his sword behind at the blacksmith, and you need to bring it to him. They're going to go to the blacksmith, pick up the sword, but then they're going to be taking a very important detour to Death Mountain, which normally you're not supposed to go to until much later. And this save is actually required. The only required save in the game.
In case you don't save, Gali yell at you.
So as they go around Hyrule, they're going to be hitting some of these weather vanes, and that just allows for fast travel once they get the bell. They need to go to Kakariko several times throughout the run, so this is a very important weather vane to hit. But there are a couple others they'll be getting just because they're very convenient. So this trick, they're basically going to lure a crow, crow, and then damage boost off of it over these rocks and get into Death Mountain early.
Oh.
Ooh, that was a weird double failure.
Yes,
So,
they both had trouble.
Edeas had accidentally lured both of the crows over, which is an interesting thing to happen.
And it's passed. For Edeas.
Second try. This is a trick that I'm pretty sure most runners just reset if they fail, because it's only like 3 minutes into the run.
Yes.
And Eraxis finally gets it. Because they're going to the cave, they want to get at least 10 rupees. The more they can get, the better, but it's kind of random, and you have to be very careful. To try and avoid damage, it can be really difficult because this is random, but they want to make it to
the blue rupee for Edeas.
Yeah. They want to make it to the weather vane on Deathbound here because they want to come back a couple times later in the run. So the main reason they're doing this detour now is because watching this cutscene of Deathbound erupting will actually activate the Ravio shop, and that'll allow them to rent items early. Edeas has to be very careful to actually make it to this vein. Looks like he's gonna do it.
Okay, good for Edeas.
He does have enough rupees. Eraxis will have to come over to these rocks here.
And...
Pretty
pretty tie.
Yeah, it's pretty close. They just need 10 rupees, but like I said, the more they have, the better, because then they can skip getting some more rupees later on. You need a lot of rupees for this run. I think like around 600 or 700 maybe, to rent all the items and also buy one thing you need to buy to get the flippers. But at the start they only need 10 because they're going to get an item for free and then rent the bow for 10 rupees. The first item you get is supposed to be the bow, and you get that for free. So whatever item you do end up getting first will also be for free. Now I was unspecific on what item they'd be renting for free, because there's actually multiple routes that you can do. But it looks like both the runners are renting the Fire Rod.
The Fire Rod route?
Yeah, the Fire Rod route is basically the low RNG route. Renting the Fire Rod is 100 rupees, which is 50 more than most other items. The Ice Rod is also 100, and that just means you need 50 fewer rupees throughout the run, so it's less RNG. Even though it is, I believe, a couple seconds slower than getting the best RNG if you were to get the Tornado Rod first.
I personally use the Tornado Rod route.
So now they're going the way that the game intends for you to go at the start, to the Sanctuary. And they don't need this weather vane, there's no reason to come back here in this category. This is one of the few Zelda games, as people often point out, where Dampe doesn't just screw you over with RNG. So as they go through here, they're going to be getting 50 rupees from a couple reds and a couple blues, and that'll allow them to rent the Tornado Rod, which they need for a very important trick coming up in the first dungeon. Tornado Rod is one of the more broken items in this game. Maybe the most broken, but about half of the items you get from Ravio are pretty broken, so it's hard to pick one.
The Ice Rod became pretty broken.
Yeah, it might be the Ice Rod now. Fire Rod is pretty broken. Bombs are also as broken, but now that we know how to damage boost with the Fire Rod, the bombs are less broken. Just because before, when you wanted to do damage boost with the bombs, they were really hard, and doing it with the Fire Rod is really easy. So Bombs still have uses that, for like stationary things that you need to like boost you upwards, such as bomb rotting, which you'll see a couple times. But yeah, it's mainly those 4 items. Sand Rod even has a trick you can do with it, but not in this category.
We'll not see. We'll not see it.
Yeah, this cutscene's weird. I'm gonna let it speak for itself for a bit.
One review. 2 review.
Red Ravio, Blue Ravio. So yeah, there's 2 Ravios in this game. Like, normally there's supposed to be 2 Ravios. It's just that normally when you activate the second one, the first one goes away. But if you activate the second one first, then the second one doesn't go away when you activate the first one. So there, now there's just 2 of them. They give Link this old bracelet that doesn't really do anything. That's kind of strange, but... So, Tornado Rod, and then they're off to Eastern Palace.
It's on this dungeon we will see the first sequence break. Oh, not the first.
So this dungeon's gonna be pretty normal for the first floor, and then the second floor they're gonna do a skip. You're gonna skip the boss key. And this trick is only possible because they're able to get the Tornado Rod before this dungeon. Normally you only have the bow when you come here, you can't get any of the other items until you advance the story a little bit beyond this point. But because they have items early, they can
Because
skip the boss key.
Ravioli only and use the bow this time.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess one thing we didn't say is that even though they were able to like skip past the Sanctuary at the beginning and go straight to Death Mountain, they still need to do the Sanctuary for 2 reasons. One, they need to get the Lantern in order to actually be able to equip items and use them. But they actually need to finish Sanctuary because otherwise they can't get to Low Row later in the run.
They need to do the Sanctuary for the sword too.
Ooh, Eraxis got a quick cycle. And he forgot to equip the Tornado Rod, hopefully that doesn't mess him up. Nice, still able to get it right away. That's a very fast boss ski skip for Eraxis.
Yes.
Especially after he almost didn't have the right item equipped, that could have been very bad. And then another, that was also pretty good from Edeas.
Yes.
That's a trick that can definitely mess you up quite a bit. Anyway, so you have to set the Armos position up again if you mess it up. But basically that's just you Tornado Rod, or you get hit once from the Armos, and that gives you invulnerability, like using the Tornado Rod. Or
The
being
turn.
hit by the Armos gives you invulnerability. You use the Tornado Rod to send both of you up, and then your invulnerability ends in midair, so the Armos then pushes you up onto the wall.
The armors hitbox push you on the top of the wall.
Mm-hmm. This boss, they basically just want to use arrows as much as they can, but they need to use their sword when they run out of stamina. And you kind of just want Hugo to pop out of the wall. A combination of as close to you and as fast as possible. And then they're going to be collecting rupees as they go out of Eastern Palace. They need to rent some more items and also buy the smooth gem to get the flippers.
The two 100 rupees.
Basically, in the next like 5 to 7 minutes, their goal is going to be to do all the rest of the things they need to do in Hyrule in order to make sure they can do the 2 more dungeons, the other 2 Hyrule dungeons. So they need to get the Pegasus boots, which are a very important item for the entire run, just because they allow you to move faster, but also there's some skips you can do with them. They need to get the flippers, and then they actually need to do the work to get to the dungeons. They're going to rent the hammer here because they need it for Tower of Hera, and then they're going to go to... Oh, they need the bombs as well. I forgot they didn't have those yet.
Yes. The fish keep.
Yeah. Ooh, did Eraxis accidentally talk to Ravio? I think so. Yeah, so now they're going to be going to Zora's Domain, and on the way they're going to get this cutscene with Blacksmith's wife, but also they're going to get the bell from Irene, and that's going to allow them to do fast travel. So you need to make 2 trips to Zora's Domain. There's no way to get the flippers otherwise, because you can't buy the smooth gem until you've already been to Zora's Domain. So they're going to activate the weather bank here to come back quickly later. Also pretty convenient that the way you get the Pegasus boots in this game is by going to the first trip in Zora's Domain. Because this shady guy here stole the smooth gem, and he also has the Pegasus boots, so they're kind of doing 2 in 1 by coming here.
And Eraxis is getting the Pegasus bot.
So now that they're actually have this blue gem, they're gonna do. They want to give this blue gem, but they want to avoid this cutscene that happens when they go up the stairs. They're gonna do a bomb rod, and they're gonna use this awkward collision to kind of pop them up onto the ledge. Normally the bomb rod only takes you like directly upwards, but because of that weird collision, you get popped like forwards. You kind of just get to stay up there. Part of that has to do with the way the game is actually
Modelized.
yeah, modelized, I guess, because everything's kind of slanted, and so if something looks like it's vertically above Link, it's actually like slightly in front of him.
In fact, the Link is pushed by the pillar.
Mm-hmm. We're going to House of Gales. You can technically do House of Gales and Tower Fair in either order, but you almost always do House of Gales first, just because you already have the Tornado Rod equipped, which you did and you just used. So you notice they didn't get the second item pouch, and that's just because they're going to opt to get quick equip, and so the pouch just doesn't really save any time. It takes too long to get to be worth it, even though it would save a little bit of time in the segment before they can actually get quick equip, which is right before they go to low roll. Like the previous dungeon, the first floor is standard. They're gonna kind of do a trick here to just get on this platform instead of like going around and stuff, but nothing really out of the ordinary until they get to the second floor. And so Eraxis tried to do this thing where the thing he just did. You can just skip the animation of Tornado Rodding all the way up by doing it just before the bar hits you. So they do need the boss key in this dungeon, but luckily it's not too far away and is really fast to get. And once they get it, they're going straight to the third floor.
Pretty easy to get.
Shoutouts to GigaDB for this strat. This position might work, yep.
The
They
key
have that
strat
heat.
is a pretty good strat. Oh. He has to get a bad positioning.
Yeah, so then in that room with the boss store, Eraxis did a dash slide, which is where you basically start to dash, but then cancel it as the dash is starting. And whenever you slide with the proper distance away from a ledge, you will kind of... Yeah, whenever you end your dash, you will kind of slide, and if you do the slide a proper distance away from a ledge, you will slide across it. This boss, they're mainly going to fight with bombs and not use the tornado rod because they don't have to switch back and forth. Each like section, you have to do a bomb and a spin attack, and then there's 2 sections on like the second phase and 4 on the third. You do need to void out to refill their stamina at one point, because if not, they'll run out and not be able to use enough bombs. You also use 2 bombs to hit the eye on the when you actually damage the eye instead of tornado rodding. It's a pretty annoying boss because you kind of have to know where to place the bombs in order for Margomil to actually move into them, but it's not too bad. And they're gonna get the hurt container because it makes dependence more massive.
Safety first.
So Eraxis is trying to do this trick to go between the second and third cave, which are connected, but normally you can only ever go from the third to the second, not the second to the third. You're supposed to have to like go back on the outside part, but you can do a dash, and you do it in such a way that you kind of stick against the wall here. It's not even a dash slide. You just need to cancel it at the right time so you stay on the other side. Looks like Edeas is having some trouble with it. It's quite annoying. Get the timing right.
Hope it will not be a forfeit.
I think he gave up and he's gonna go through the cave normally. Yeah.
Yes. The cap strat.
Okay. So Eraxis is in tower pair and he's about to do probably the runner's least favorite trick in this run. The 2-frame bomb run to get out of bounds, and then they can go through several floors out of bounds. Like Eraxis was just a little bit early. Edeas just barely surviving that cave. Hopefully there's some hearts he can get here.
2 hearts will be welcome. And okay.
Yeah, just slightly late. This is definitely a place where Edeas can catch up if Eraxis doesn't get this trick for a little bit.
Edeas can pretty much rejoin.
Edeas did opt to save, I guess due to his health. Not a bad call. Rax is able to get it. I believe that was 4th try on his end. So now he'll be going up several floors. He does have to wait a bit here to refill his stamina. So the rest of the dungeon is really easy. There's actually a way you can stay out of bounds longer, but it's slower, because you have to just... Basically, when you'd just be standing around in place, waiting for your stamina to refill for most of the time, due to how many times you have to use the tornado rod, so it's faster to go back in bounds earlier. Gonna try and get a quick platform cycle here. Not too bad at all. And the boss can kind of troll you, but it's... You just kind of have to know how to use your arrows effectively on this boss. Edeas is still going at the bomb rod.
And
Missed the first shot. Usually that's the one that's pretty easy to get. Ooh, Edeas is finally able to get out of bounds. Eraxis keeps missing those shots. Looks like he's gonna switch to spin attack. And he did a slash, so now he's gonna have to do an extra hit. There it goes. A bit of a...
skilled.
Not the best fight from Eraxis, but it works.
Eraxis just defeated the hamburger.
Yeah, hamburger. Ooh, Edeas got pushed down. Edeas right now is probably around 2 minutes behind. Maybe only a minute.
Pretty much. If you do a clean ball down. He does. Clean ball. Okay. Eraxis is on the last wood. For this first step. Oh, is he on the second? No, it's on the first step. The ghost to follow will always end at the right of the circle. For the second step, the two ghosts to not follow will end on the top and the bottom of the circle. And it's a Master Sword person for Eraxis.
So they're just gonna rent the rest of the items now and then be able to get quick equip, and then they're off to Hyrule Castle. So they skip to the first trip to Hyrule Castle that you're supposed to make, so they have to do all of those events now, of like waiting here and then going to see Zelda. So yeah, even though they skipped it, they have to do it now. Kind of unfortunate, but it's just the way it is.
Okay. Eraxis is entering a glitched cinematic. It's a cinematic that it should have occurred way before, when we have received the first pendant.
So the first route of Pyro Castle is just going through a bunch of rooms where you have to kill a lot of enemies, or some enemies, or enemy. But they're actually able to skip this one room where you have to go to Cobra and Hormuz, and they're just going to basically do the same trick they did in Eastern Palace, but this one is much more lenient.
And the second tornado rod, Eraxis.
So the rest of the rooms now is basically just avoiding enemies and trying not to dash into the wall, because sometimes you can just bonk on the stairs somehow, like on corners, for no reason. Some pixels or something, no one actually is able to like consistently avoid or consistently dash into these. So we just assume it's a sub-pixel thing. So the Yuga fight is pretty straightforward, although they are going to be doing they're going to skip the last cycle by doing 2 quick spins on the last hit. They have to hope that Yuga spawns and or like doesn't cross over, because then it can be either of those 2 paintings when Yuga actually pops out of the wall.
Eraxis is about to finish the I will phase. 5.
So in this section, they're going to be activating the 2 weather vanes they're going to need for the lower part of the run, which are Blacksmith and Vacant House. And then they'll be going straight to Swamp Palace, which is the first dungeon they're going to be doing. And it's a very broken dungeon due to the Ice Rod.
Ice Rod made it pretty broken.
So yeah, the Ice Rod, if you do a quick equip cancel, which means bringing up quick equip to cancel the animation of using the item, you can get underneath the Ice Rod, like the ice ball, and then use it to clip you out of bounds and near a wall.
Question.
Very useful. And they're going to do it again here. This one can be kind of tricky. So yeah, finally gets it. He's gonna go over to this room and he's going to clip back in quickly with the skull. You could have otherwise just like swim out of the wall. But he's gonna raise the water and then he's gonna do another clip. And then this clip is gonna lead him straight into a boss skip. That's pretty challenging. You have to kind of walk when you're half inbound. But you need to stay out of bounds and make it to the loading zone for the upstairs part where the painting is. Or maybe the downstairs part. I forget if it's an upstairs case or a downstairs case.
It's upstairs.
Yeah. If he voids, it's fine. He can just do the most recent clip again. If he does clip in bounds, he has to fight the boss. This dash is the most precise part because you have to make sure you don't go all the way back.
And it will be a Argus fight.
You'll fight the boss. Wastes about a minute if you do it this way. Some runners opt to not try to skip the boss because of how difficult it is, and then there's an easier route you can do through the dungeon that's slightly faster than this if you're not going to skip the boss. But if you want to skip the boss, you have to do this route.
And it could be a thing. Edeas can.
If Edeas gets the skip, he will most likely be in the lead. Looking good.
Okay, and Edeas takes the lead.
Very close race, nonetheless. Eraxis has to be careful not to get hit here. I believe this attack only does 1 arc, but still.
This second phase, this boss is pretty annoying. Jumping all the time and shooting lasers.
Using the Ice Rod on that boss definitely makes it much more manageable. But it's unfortunate that Eraxis failed that boss skip. I'm gonna guess he's gonna get this heart container due to being at low health. As Edeas makes his way onto Desert Palace, which is another very short dungeon that you're not actually going to see because they're going to skip straight to the boss, but then also skip the boss. So you just skip everything here.
You didn't even enter in the Desert Palace.
We're going to do another Ice Rod clip, which this is the last one, I believe. They're going to use the Tornado Rod to get up in bounds, and then they're going to do a Fire Rod damage boost to get up on the upper out of bounds leg. Just checking his position, and everybody's close, I think.
Alright. And it's
Now he's going to basically dash around towards the boss arena. Then he's going to dash slide across this gap and skip actually fighting the boss. Ooh, he failed it. That's not very good at all. He has to fly back to the vacant house and come back here. And Eraxis, meanwhile, has regained the lead due to that mistake. You know, I thought his position might be off. It looked like he was a little bit too far away from the ledge. No, Eraxis will get his chance. This Ice Rod clip is weird because if you just keep walking, you will walk into the void. So you have to kind of slash it through to stop your momentum, but if you slash it too early, you just won't clip.
you have to just enter in the water.
The
water.
There, he got it. Take care of this moblin, I think. And try to play around boost.
Yeah.
And he got it. Edeas gets this quickly, it'll be close though. Let's see if Eraxis can get the dash slide. He gets it. Edeas.
Yeah, I didn't see why Edeas is doing it again. Just a flat.
Hopefully he can get it this time.
Oh, again.
Ooh, that time I think he stood too close.
I think it started to dash pretty close for the edge.
So Eraxis is going to be making his way to Ice Ruin. He's going to do a skip. He's going to skip the ore mine in Hyrule, but then he's going to there's no way to skip the Ice Cave in Lorule, so he's going to do that. Which is basically just a long auto-scroller. But to skip the ore mine, he's going to come here in Lorule. He's going to do a Fire Rod damage boost onto this bridge, side of this bridge. Hookshot across the other side, and then, well, yeah, hookshot to the other, side of the bridge, and then hookshot across the bridge. And then he can stay out of bounds for a little bit to skip a text trigger from Hilda, and then go into the Ice Cave here. And we get to see Edeas' third try at this boss skip.
Should stand of the... Yes, this one. The first square. On the left.
Still making his way to the ice cave. I believe Edeas is going to be doing Skullwoods first, which is fine. There's some options you have in the order of dungeons you can do. You always want to do Swamp and then Desert, but then you can do like Ice next, you can do Skull next, you can do Dark next. As long as you do Turtle after Dark and you do Thieves last, there's really no difference between any of these orders. Turtle immediately after Dark, because that's just the fastest way to get to Turtle is from Dark Palace.
Generally, I do Dark Palace after Desert. Dark Palace.
So Eraxis is doing this trick in Ice Ruins. He's going to clip out of bounds inside this elevator, and then he's going to dash to stay out of bounds. And he's going to walk out of bounds carefully, and he's going to drop down into the boss arena. He wants to drop down on the top half because then he won't be in the boss trigger. If you're in the lower half of that arena, the boss will actually spawn and you have to fight it. But now you can kind of kill the boss while it's unloaded and beat the dungeon right like that. It's one of the longest dungeons in the round, actually. No, I'm just kidding. There are dungeons that are long that you can't really skip any of, so we're gonna see some of those next. Kind of weird. You do Swamp where you go straight to the boss and skip the boss. Desert you completely skip. Ice you just like completely skip. And those are the first 3 dungeons you do. So you don't even see a real Laurel dungeon until I believe
And Skull, you skip the boss.
Into Skullwoods next, I believe.
Skull, you skip the boss while doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Eraxis is going for Skull.
Yeah. And I believe Edeas is going to be doing Ice next, so they'll sync up when they go to Dark Palace.
Yes. It would have been a pain to...
So Edeas is doing the party room now. It looks like he's just playing it safe and killing all the enemies. This is kind of the biggest RNG point in this dungeon. You want to hopefully get a good pattern so you can like push the Armos. And then make it safely up there before the Wallmaster comes, because if you're standing up there when the Wallmaster comes, it'll just catch you instantly, because you're high enough up. But Edeas opted to just play it safe and kill all the enemies. You can do a kind of quick dash to get to that key. And there's a mini boss, but it's pretty standard, just using bombs. And then in this room, you want to use the lamp on the Gibdos so that you can kill them as Stalfos. They take a lot more. Stalfos have a lot less health than Gibdos, so it's advantageous to turn them into Stalfos first. Eraxis got some good RNG in the party room. Edeas gets the boss key. But for anyone who missed out, even though it looks like Edeas is ahead, Eraxis has already completed Ice Ruins because they did dungeons out of order. Or in different orders. There's no correct order. So, day 1 boss skip coming up from Edeas.
Oh,
And he missed it.
centered. It's
Yeah. And there, we got a second try. Perhaps is missing the dash just like Edeas did. It is key. You kind of just dash down and then you drop down and it puts you back up top.
For the eyeball, it's pretty touchy because if he drops the eye when he try to roll it in the second pillar, it will not be able to take it again. I think Eraxis is going for dark nowadays.
Yeah, he's already finished Ice and Skull, so Eraxis is going to be going to Dark Palace. So normally you're supposed to go through this maze of sorts, even though it's not that hard to find your way through. You have to go through this maze to get to Dark Palace, but you can skip most of it using a cool trick.
So
Pretty
for now,
old. One of the first tricks found in this game, actually.
from now he has he has 3 dungeon remaining, so it will be dark, turtle, and thieves.
Very good luck for that enemy I forget what it's called, to go right into the corner, and then pretty fast skip, actually getting out of bounds. You have to be very careful to not fall in the water there, because then you're sort of trapped. There are ways to get out, but they're pretty difficult, and it's such a rare occurrence that a lot of runners don't even know how you would save yourself in that situation. But Edeas with a nice Ice Ruins skip and a quick kill on the boss. The unloaded boss. So Eraxis making his way through Dark Palace. It's pretty much skipless. So it's just the intended route through the dungeon. Though because you do have the Ice Rod, you can skip one of the small keys. You have to be very careful in this, well, I wouldn't even say careful, you just have to hope that the bombs you throw in this room where you get the boss key don't, like, randomly clip out of bounds, because that's a thing that can happen. And meanwhile, Edeas is getting bad luck with this enemy.
Also pretty good. Not an Eraxis level, but pretty good.
This boss is kind of just RNG based. There's not much you can do. The first bit's not too bad, but then on the second bit you have to hope you get good attacks so you can actually hit it. Looks like a good position, and it's gonna just do its headbutt attack, which is not the best. The best thing would be for the boss to just do nothing, but the headbutt's better than if it just kind of walks around and ignores you.
One phase, so it's good. Edeas is not too far. Two or 3 minutes gap between them.
We're gonna get to Turtle Rock. Eraxis is gonna do a fire rock damage boost onto this like ledge here. He's gonna hope the enemies don't get in his way, which it looks like they're not. And he gets onto the ledge, and then he's basically just gonna stick on here, and then drop down into the water. Once he's gone as far as he can, you can move faster on land than on water. So he's just gonna dash down into the water here. Now he's at Turtle Rock. And press goals to get into the dungeon. He's going to do this trick called animation storage, where he's going to basically store the animation of jumping out of the water onto like that dock, and then he's going to use that to jump out of bounds here, and then tornado rob up and get into the dungeon. And that was very fast. Those coup can, if you get hit, it'll cancel animation storage, but those coup seem to behave. So Turtle Rock itself is a pretty fast dungeon. You're basically going straight to a boss key skip. You do have to go through this one Wizrobe room though to get to the other floor. So this is a notorious trick because it used to be one of the hardest tricks in the run as a frame perfect bomb rod. But a while back, a runner named Bunny Bye realized you can use the Wizrobe instead of a bomb, and it makes the trick significantly more lenient. Now it's just pretty easy trick, the only hard part being able to switch to Tornado Rock fast enough. Unfortunately, Eraxis missed actually shooting the ice rod onto the ground, so he's going to set that up again. Opting to not use quick equip here as many runners do to make sure he switches to the tornado rod in time. That was pretty good. So let's see how Edeas. So this boss, Eraxis is fighting is sort of RNG, and just where it swims in the lava, but then the second phase is more RNG because you want him to do the attacks that don't waste that much time. So the headbutt. Spinning is okay because you can cancel it by taking damage, and then the fire is just bad because it's slow. One thing you will see on this boss that will become important for the final boss is that the bow does... one hit from the bow does the same amount of damage as one hit from the sword, but you can... the bow actually has higher DPS and can hit from farther away, so it can be advantageous over the bow, or over the sword, I mean. So Edeas right now is just about a dungeon behind. Thieves' Hideout is the longest dungeon, actually this time, not joking. And there's one skip you can do in it, but it doesn't save that much time, so the dungeon is pretty much just going through the way you're intended. There's not a lot, you can definitely mess it up, but there's not a lot that you can do to lose time. So again, this dungeon is mainly just the intended route, so there's not a lot to say. There is a skip though that you would think maybe you would be able to skip doing this puzzle because of how it works. Basically what you're going to do is you do need to do this puzzle, but after they do this puzzle, they're going to push the statues to clip out of bounds through the floor, and then go down, and basically going to land on the ceiling of the room below them. They're going to be kind of half on one floor, half on the other. They're going to walk out of bounds, and they're basically going to use that to get to the mini boss of the dungeon master. Because they can do that, they can get to the rest of the dungeon without doing this room. So you might ask, well, why did they do the intended puzzle of this room and open the door to get to the next room? Well, that's because later in this dungeon they have to go backwards through this room, and while Link can pass through doors backwards, they're going to be escorting Thief Girl, and Thief Girl cannot pass through a closed door from the back, so they do need to open that door. So this mini boss can be pretty dangerous. You don't want to come in with full health, because sword beams will mess you up in this fight, and I apologize if you're hearing those loud shrieks and screams. Anyway, so the rest of the Thief's Hideout is pretty boring on Eraxis' end, because it's just escorting Thief Girl, and there's a couple optimizations, but no real tricks. It's mainly just getting through one room, like the next room where you have to fight some enemies. There's a big room with just kind of some movement optimizations and skipping avoiding a cutscene, I should say. And then the rest of the dungeon is actually very boring, in my opinion. That was very close. You almost got Thief Girl caught.
He had these arms on her.
Must have been only frames away.
Pretty funny that when you get out Turtle Rock, the bell doesn't work properly if you don't move before.
Eraxis was going for hearts and he accidentally got monster pieces. Not a big deal. Just a couple seconds lost. In any percent, it's pretty easy to avoid them the entire run and then accidentally pick them up in Laurel Castle, so... 100% it's almost better to just get them, because you're probably going to get them at some point anyways. there's a small trick they're going to do to get the boss key slightly faster. Instead of merging along the wall or along this like moving platform like you're supposed to, they're gonna tune rod to get on that handle in the back and then merge along the wall, and that just saves like a second or two. You don't have to wait for the slow platform to go across. So they're going to use the hammer to fight this boss because double hits do like a ton of damage on this boss. But only double hits for some reason. If you get a single hit, it doesn't do extra damage, but if you get a double hit, it does like the same damage as like 3 or 4 hits for some reason, so they're going to use the hammer a lot. He is struggling with this boss, the mini boss. Definitely didn't get them in a good position. He's not going to be able to get the 2 cycle, unfortunately. Good third phase of stall blind from Eraxis, though. So, I believe it is, yeah, so it's possible to clip into this house where the painting is, or into like the physical house, like you'd be in like the logo in like the Thieves town map, and like standing out of bounds behind the door of the house. But until you actually have been inside the house before, and the only way to do that is to get into this cutscene, there's no loading zone, so you can't skip the entire dungeon, unfortunately. So normally you get the sand rod here, and normally you need the sand rod to be desert. So Thieves is never supposed to be the last dungeon you're supposed to do. But because you could skip the sand rod, you can do Thieves last, and that skips the Triforce cutscene pretty much. Basically, it plays the cutscene with Oslo giving you the sand rod, and the cutscene where you get the Triforce at the same time, and then when one ends, you can kind of just walk out of the other one, skipping it. It is about a minute. Yeah, Eraxis is going to opt to save here. Trial Skip is coming out to visit. Both Trial Skip and the final boss, and you can die depending on. Well, Trial Skip you can only die if you like don't know what to do. I guess. But you can die on the final boss, and pretty easily, I'd say. He's going to save just for some safety. Trial Skip. There's 2 methods for it. I don't know which method these runners are going to go for. There's the old method, which is frame perfect, and then the new method, which is position perfect. I'm not sure if it's 1 pixel or just a couple of pixels, but it is very precise. So yeah, there's for someone asking in the chat, there's no bracket for this tournament. It's a Swiss tournament, so the rounds aren't determined until the previous round is played. We do have a Google Doc that has all the standings, so if you are interested, that's available in the Discord, or the Only Between Worlds Discord, or I can post it in the DSR Discord too, I guess. So Eraxis is going for alternate trial skip, which is the new method that's very position perfect. You want to... Ooh. So he did that second sword slash too early, and now it looks like he's going to, as a backup, do old trial skip, which is frame perfect. This actually is the fastest thing to do, is to try alternate trial skip only once, and then go for the old trial skip. But it looks like he's going consistently early every time.
Oh,
Got it.
good.
So that wasn't the best thing that could have happened. He was just slightly early on that second sword slash for alternate trial skip. But didn't take him too long to get the new trial, or get the old trial skip. So he's going to be stocking up on health. He only has 11.5 hearts, but that doesn't really matter. All of Edeas' attacks do like 2 hearts anyways. So, and sword beams don't matter either.
I don't know the frame window for the original trial skip.
It's 1 frame.
1 frame.
Yeah, I believe it's 1 frame only. If you have nice bombs, which are the upgraded bombs you can get, then I believe it's 2 or 3 frames. But with the normal non-upgraded bombs, it's only 1 frame. So yeah, so this boss, there's a lot you can do to manipulate him into doing various attacks, and not doing other attacks, but most of that is on the second phase, when he actually has all of his attacks available. In the first phase, I believe it's mostly just whatever he gives you. It's mainly because the attack you can manipulate is one he doesn't have available until he starts to get on low health, which is when he throws his spear. It's by far the best attack he can do, because you can just get like sometimes 8 to 10 hits in at once, and it is 64 hits total. Yeah, so you can manipulate him by basically shooting the bow at him. This basically made the fight so much easier. Shoutouts to all the, well, to Romulus mainly for figuring out, I believe it was him who did most of this research into figuring out how you can make this fight more consistent. Because it used to be on the second phase just, how many times does he, like, do the orbs attack where he just, like, teleports away and you can't hit him for a while. And you can't really predict where he's gonna go when he does the orb, or when the spear throwing attack. But Romulus really figured out all that stuff and made the fight a lot better. And that was only very recently, I believe. And then the second phase where you do tennis is very consistent. The only hard part is avoiding the attacks, but Eraxis has plenty of health.
The bow of light for Eraxis.
It does technically waste about a second to merge there in the wall, but... Or, is it a second or is it half a second? It wasted... Yeah, I think it's half a second. Half a second. So 1 second total, because you would do it twice. But, it's just easier than having to walk around and avoid all the kind of flames that the enemy spawns. He's got plenty of health though, so he should probably just walk around for a bit. It can kind of be good because it sets up a good position for Edeas to be in, but you can do a similar thing without merging here. Edeas opting for the old trial stick. Eraxis is just going to do the last hit with the bow, and Chaim will come up with
Oh,
the back horse. Did Edeas get that first try?
I didn't see if it's first or second.
Yeah, that was very. I saw him lining up the position, and then I was watching Eraxis do the final hit, and I looked back, and Edeas had got it, so it must have
Yes.
been quick.
Same. Was too fast for us.
Yeah, so just about like 45 seconds of cutscene left, I'd say, on Eraxis' end.
And it's a GG for Eraxis. Finally,
Finish the Edeas
first
finish the first phase.
phase.
So second phase again is not too difficult at all.
It's a tennis match.
Edeas just finishing up with the final hit coming up, and then about a minute afterwards.
Hello.
Well,
Hello.
Okay, Well, this one was so bad. I clicked in swamp and I failed in Tower of Hera, but
It was unfortunate.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
GG,
What
by
was
the
the
way.
other mistake you were mad about?
Thank you, Max. What?
You were saying there was another bad mistake you were mad about?
Yeah, swamp. Tower of... The end of the run was good, but the beginning was so bad, and I failed the first trick. 2 times.
So did Edeas. Edeas failed it once.
Yeah. um, but yeah, I think I have some golds in the run. I will retain it because I'm some splits were good, but just Dark Palace was pretty good, and Yugenon was pretty good too. Oh, Edeas.
It's a GG for Edeas too.
French team is still alive.
I didn't know if you saw, but after you failed Swamp Boss Skip, Edeas thought it,
Yeah.
and he failed Zaganagas twice.
I was so mad
really
to clip into the swamp boss room. So mad.
Yeah.
Because I did the out of bound and just I think that's the angle with my joystick, and that was wrong. And then I clipped directly. House of Gales boss fight was bad too, and I don't know what. Skull, Turtle Rock. I failed the first time for the glitch, the skip. I lost a little bit of time here.
Yeah, you missed the ice rod on the. Yeah, that was.
Oh, I will practice a lot during my holidays to come back with a better run.
Come back stronger.
Hello?
GG, Edeas.
GG, Edeas.
Well, I tilted so hard after Desert. Oh no.
Where did you fail, Edeas?
I failed Saga Naga Skip twice.
Oh. Oh, it sucks that you lost a lot of time when you
Yeah, because you have to warp back to Vacant House, so...
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, my Grinnex fight was also horrible. I was so afraid of dying because I suddenly had no HP.
So, I don't know. Is there a run tomorrow? With someone? And
Sunday.
Next, when do you race?
Monday.
Monday.
8 p.m. CET.
Okay. I try to be here.
8 p.m. What time zone?
CET.
I don't think I'll be able to commentate.
Yeah, I forgot to write done in SRL. Well, on my screen it was 1:38:07, but it was probably a bit more.
Oh yeah, you forgot. Hmm. Well, I think I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
It's late. It's late.
It's pretty late, yes.
Pretty late.
Yeah, you guys got a very late start for your time zone
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to do this race before my holidays, because I won't be able to run during the holidays, so I didn't want to miss one more round.
Yeah, same.
Hmm. So there's still, even though this was the first match of round 3, there's still one more match of round 2 that needs to be played, which will be played on Monday, it sounds. And then there's obviously the rest of the round 3 matches. It looks like that Eraxis will be playing the winner of Romulos for Red and
Good
then
luck, Eraxis.
It depends on who you face.
My dad is coming.
opponent.
My dad is coming.
I know that feel.
I'm so scared. Gonna practice a lot every day, every time.
I will never fail Saga Naga skip again. And the one time when I actually went and got the weather win, I got it.
Yeah, for Zaganaga, I take my time. I set up with charging a spin attack to set up.
Yeah.
I like better to set up to last few
Yeah,
seconds, but
I also do that, but somehow I missed it the first time, and then I
I
started
think you
questioning
were
myself.
were too far right. in fact.
Only on the second time, I think. On the first time, I think when I missed it, I thought, was I too far behind or too far to the left? So when I did it next time, I went forward one, and then I saw it. Oh, now I was way too far to
In
the
fact,
right.
I'm always positioning to the fourth square from the left.
Yeah.
Normally, it's good.
before I didn't do with this setup, but one day I killed a run with that. So since this time, I always do the setup, the safe strat.
But man, my Swamp Palace was sick.
You clip into the boss room.
No.
No. In fact, he took the lead on the boss skip at this time.
Oh.
Then I lost it again. Right
And he
after.
lost it again with Zaganaga.
Yeah. I lost a lot of time with Swamp and Tower of Hera, with the bomb run and the boss fight, the Moldorm.
Yes.
That was my first race ever, so I was a little bit stressed at the beginning of the race. At the end, that was better.
I was also just I couldn't get the dash slide or the dash in Hera Cave.
Oh
So
yeah.
I just had to go around because my HP was getting so low.
Yeah, well,
He had
Also
to choose the intended way.
both of you failed the power glove skip at least once.
So, yeah, I'm going to.
But I think we both had pretty nice ice ruins. Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Ice Run. Dark
Although
Palace was pretty good for me.
Dark Palace was bad for me. The what he called wouldn't cooperate at the
Oh.
entrance.
I didn't get trolled by the boss in Dark Palace, so I was pretty happy because I'm always trolled with this boss.
Is it called the Snapdragon?
Yeah,
Oh, that's the name.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember when doing the commentary. I was like, that enemy, I forget what it's called. Yeah, Snapdragon, that sounds right.
Claptrap.
Thieves was not so good for me because I lost a lot of hearts in the key room for the fights with the armors, so it was not really good.
I think I four-faced that one. It was horrible.
But this is the first time I finished a run with 12 hearts.
Yeah.
Usually I finish a run with, I don't know, 9 or 10 hearts, but we were so scared I didn't want to take any risks.
I was like, whenever I had low HP, I was just like, I'm just saving. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Especially in front of ice, I was like, learn from Ben's mistakes.
Yeah.
I feel like I was really close to spawning the boss.
Yeah.
I feel like I almost were too far down.
I dropped in the boss room in Ice Rain, and I wasn't. That was a weird spot, but he didn't spawn, so I said, okay.
Couldn't you just have spawned him just to make the race a bit more interesting?
Yeah.
So, anything else you guys have to say?
No, that's good for me.
I can't wait until Eraxis upsets Hereteman. This is the crazy prediction that Hereteman beats Rom.
Everything is possible now with.
Yes.
I'm gonna beat Romulus. We can do this. That's the French power. the power of the baguette.
Power of the baguette.
Of the baguette. Yeah.
Omelette du fromage.
So thank you for the rest stream and for the coms. I think I'm gonna sleep now.
You're welcome.
I wish
Thanks
I
for the
could sleep.
commentary, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
I didn't listen to it, but I'm pretty sure you did a great job.
Yeah, I think I will watch the VOD.
I will probably watch the WOD and then skip Desert Palace and then watch the rest of it. Like I was so tilted, I was sideways. My god.
Yeah, so have a good night.
Yeah, have a good night.
GL for the race, Max. And
Yes, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'd like
bye.
to. Goodbye. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us tonight. GGs to both Eraxis and Edeas, and many thanks to Purple Photon. And I hope I'm pronouncing this right because I'm on 3.5 hours of sleep. Is it Miax?
Yes, it's
Yes.
right.
Okay, good, because I kept pronouncing it Miax. It's Miax. So thank you, everyone. Have a good night. And next restream will be at 10 p.m. for a Ocarina of Time, no item manipulation, wrong warp, and I'm tired. That's why, but I have to stay up. So have a good night, all.
It's okay.
Take care. Okay.
Yeah. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night. Bye. Thanks for watching.